Hey there guys, in this video we are going to be talking about wrestlers I would like to see get figures, preferably Ultimate Edition / Elite figures. All these are going to be kind of legends. Not all of them are like, I guess you could say legends, but none of these are going to be active superstars that are still in the WWE. A lot of these are ones that I know they're not on Legends deals. I know it may be impossible to get these people on a Legends deal, so these figures might not even be possible, but it's just figures I would like to see. First up, I'm 100% you're not guessing this one. This is the Jumping Bomb Angels right here. Went back and watched some Jumping Bomb Angels matches and stuff. I'm actually a big fan of the Jumping Bomb Angels. I think they were actually very good for their time. And another standpoint of this is, if they don't want to work hard to get these figures out, I mean, it's only so hard. It's not very creative gear. It's just like a regular singlet. It's very easy to make, at least what I would imagine would be very easy to make. They could come with the old women's tag titles, but then I also have another option of a way they could get these figures out. As we know, probably their best feud / matches were against the Glamour Girls. So I feel as if you could do it like a rivalry 4-pack type deal, where you get both of the Glamour Girls and you get both of the Jumping Bomb Angels. This would be so cool. I think the Glamour Girls could have very, very cool figures. Definitely if there was like a way to get them this kind of silky, shiny material like they wear on their way out to the ring. I mean, this could be great. Leilani and Judy are very worthy of having figures. I think they definitely deserve them. I mean, even somewhere down the line, we could get a Jimmy Hart in the Glamour Girl type gear. I mean, I was just saying the 4-pack rivalry thing would be a great deal. It'd be a good way to get 4 wrestlers that are well-deserving of figures out of the way. And so we have figures of them. Or I guess you could release them singly in the Legends line. You can release them in 2 separate tag team packs. But imagine if they wanted to do like a promo type gear and you gave them this fur coat that is known in this nice picture right here. I mean, that would just be probably a very good quality soft goods thing to have in a nice little pack. But yeah, those are the first 2 women's tag teams. Next up, you got the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young. Yes, I already know Mae Young has a elite figure, but there is so many different versions of Mae Young that you could do. We only have one. For my personal collection, my 2 dream figures of these 2 would be in this kind of formal wear that you see on the screen. I would like to have probably just a nice Mattel Creations type 2-pack of these 2 women in these figures. Or, of course, you could always go back to when they were in their prime. They were in their prime of wrestling in the ring. I mean, you could give older versions of them. My only thing with that, I don't quite know how that would sell. I would actually like to get a Moolah by herself in honestly the same gear that she had her Jax figure in. That Jax figure was actually fairly good. I actually like that Jax figure. But, of course, I would like to get that in elite form. Next up, in my opinion, one of the best tag teams of all time, The Rock and Roll Express. These would be so cool. I love their Jax figures that they have. When they were actually inducted in the Hall of Fame, I figured they would get figures after they were inducted just because affiliations with the WWE at that moment. But, unfortunately, we never got that. But I feel like these figures could just look so cool. They could come with a nice cloth shirt. They could get colorful with it. I mean, this would really be great to see. This is kind of hard to say because of how many dream figures I have. This might be my number 1 wish out of all of these on this list. And also a quick little disclaimer. I'm not saying that Mattel / WWE does, or Ringside, whatever you want to say, doesn't do a good job of pushing out Legends figures, because they definitely do. This is like nitpicking out just wrestlers that I want to see. They have released a lot of people. They do a great job of keeping up with different wrestlers, trying to get figures of everybody they possibly can. Great job to the Mattel WWE team for all of that. Next up, it would be a pretty big one for me. This would be a definite buy. I know you could say, oh, but he had a elite in the 2-pack with Shawn Michaels with The Rock. Yeah, no, I personally missed out on that, and I'm not going to go pay more than $100+ on eBay to get a Marty Jannetty elite personally. And even though I was just talking good about the company and all that, because I really, of course, enjoy collecting, but there is a lot of re-release sets right now. Probably a little bit too many. But we're not going to get into that right now. You're releasing all these figures. Why can't you re-release the Marty Jannetty? Maybe it's because he's not on a Legends deal or whatever. I have no idea. But we need a one that you can at least get. Not one that you have to pay $100+ for. But yeah, Marty Jannetty, we 100% need a new figure of. Next up, now we have the Monday Night Wars series right now. We had the Ruthless Aggression set. But one thing we have not seen is a ECW set. Me personally, I'm a huge fan of ECW. I like going back on Peacock. It used to be better when you could do it on WWE Network just because Peacock gets on my nerves. But just going back, clicking on a random episode of ECW and just enjoying it, seeing all the different talent that they had. So why can't we get an ECW set? If you think about it, there's a lot of ECW people that don't have elites. Luckily, right now, we're getting a Sandman. We have plenty of RVDs. But if you get a ECW type set, of course, you could put Sandman in the line. RVD has like an unlimited amount of attires just because his attires are that cool. Why can't you put him in that line? But now let's talk about those that don't have a figure yet that they could put in these lines. Probably one that would probably most want to be by everybody, Sabu. This would be very, very cool. Of course, you got to get him with the kendo stick and everything. I really badly want a Sabu figure. I know Chella Toys, I believe it is, that made one of him, but I heard bad things about it, that it would fall apart and all this. I want an elite of Sabu. Next up, another big one, Tommy Dreamer. I know he's with TNA right now, but, I mean, they're working with TNA anyway. But yet, this would just be so cool. We need a Tommy Dreamer Elite. I feel like a lot of these ECW guys are... collectors just really want them. Not just me, I feel like. And so I think they would sell very well. Next up, you got Taz. I'm not sure if he's still with AEW or what. But, I mean, this would be a great figure. He's definitely one I want. Of course, the tattoos would look cool and everything. Yeah, this would be fun. But this one would be the most toyetic. This would just Raven in elite form. I mean, if they might even have to put him as an I don't know how much an Ultimate Edition would sell, just because I guess he's not at the name power for an Ultimate Edition. But when it comes to just overall figure quality, I mean, it's Ultimate Edition ready with his attire and everything. But just any type of Raven, Elite, Ultimate, whatever, would be so cool. And then you got Jazz. I feel like this would be a very cool one to add to your collection. Definitely if you do like pick feds, I feel like she could go well with some of the like current women's stars, like your Bianca Belairs, like your Jade Cargills, like your Charlotte Flairs. Like, she could really go with it. I'd like to see her versus Jordan Grace. I think that would be good. I mean, this would be a nice figure. But this would be so amazing. Imagine a Mattel Creations FBI 3-pack. Preferably the ECW version with Big Sal, Little Guido, and Tony Mamaluke. This would just be such a cool pack. I know I would definitely be buying it. Would it like sell like crazy? Maybe not. But I don't know. It's hard to say because I feel like collectors would really be on this. But the average like just random wrestling fan that's not like really deep into collecting, they're not going to really want the FBI. But this would be very cool. And if this is not possible, because it's probably like a 0.1% chance of happening, there's no way at all, I'd still like to just get a Nunzio Elite. I know I was talking about the ECW line, but I'm going to just slowly transition back over to WWE. I'm not saying that these people have to be in the ECW line. That's just, I feel like would be a good idea to add a ECW line to all these different sets that we got going on. Next up, this would be so cool. You got Tajiri. I mean, you have so many options. I've always liked his pant designs. I think he's very, very colorful and all that. It's very cool. A lot to choose from. You could get a nice elite out of this guy. I mean, you could even put out basics. I think that would look cool. So then you can pair him with the Shinsuke Nakamuras of the world. Next up is a huge one for me just because I'm a huge fan of him. This is Super Crazy. I personally have been wanting a figure of him for a while. Super Crazy would be a cool figure. But when it comes to the overall design of the figure and how cool it would look, Psychosis is like really up there. This would just look so cool. I just want to see what the figure would look like. How do you think Mattel would do the mask? I feel like there's just a lot of different stuff they could do with this. Next up, this one, I might be a little biased just because I'm a big fan of him, but this is Hakushi. This would look so cool. I feel like you could use them in your pick feds, and just the tattoos going down would be so cool. Next up, Jushin Thunder Liger. He has a figure released from Storm Collectibles, which I believe is a great figure, but I love Storm Collectibles. I have a figure of him and then my dad from that company, and my dad has actually the Jushin while I have the Minoru Suzuki, but that's kind of all topic. Storm Collectibles does have good figures, but they just can't, they're not as good as WWE. That's just how it is. They're not as good as the Mattel WWE figures. So I want a Jushin Thunder Liger Ultimate Edition / Elite figure. They could do a lot with the quality of the little cape or whatever that he's got, the mask. I think it all could look very, very cool. Next up, you could do an Elite 2-pack of Lay Cool. I know Layla has a basic figure from the early sets, but that thing was kind of garbage in my opinion. So not only would that give her a good figure, that would give Michelle McCool a Mattel figure, and I just think they both deserve good figures. Even though, I mean, I was honestly never the biggest fan of either of the two, I still want figures of them. I feel like if you give them the same exact attires that they're wearing in this photo, I'd be happy. Next up, and this one would just be so cool, Adam Bomb. The gloves that he's wearing in the photo, the goggles would be amazing. Just the attire overall would be so cool. I mean, we need this in our collections. This would look so cool. And now let's move on. This is Medusa, and I want this WCW version. I mean, this could be a defining moments figure right here. We don't really see women's. I don't even think we've ever gotten a women's figure in the Defining Moments line. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think we've ever got a women's figure in the Defining Moments line. I mean, this was a big deal at that time. She shows up, throws the title in the trash can. You could give this figure, have her in the packaging, in this attire right here, holding the trash can. Of course, she didn't have to be holding the trash can in the box, but give her the trash can with it. Give her the title with it. There you go. That would be great. That's a good defining moment figure. Defining moment is supposed to be this big moment. I hate to kind of hate on an upcoming figure, but they're putting LA Knight into the defining moments line. Has he really had a defining moment for his career yet? I don't think so. And to add to that, I would like to get another Alundra Blaze figure. Her last figure is kind of hard to come by. It was in the earlier sets of Elites. So why not just give her another one? Next up, these would look so cool. This is the Killer Bees, and I actually love their Jax figures that they have released already. And I feel like you could do their Elites just like they did their Jax. Have them in the packaging without the mask on, then you have the mask over there to the side, so then you kind of have your option. Or with today's technology, do like you did with the Executioner. You have one head sculpt with the mask on, one without. I would personally like to have just a cloth mask that you can slide on there, but it really doesn't matter. Whichever's fine with me. I just want Killer Bees figures. Next up, Coco Beware. This would be so cool. He gets the nice glove hands. You could give him the nice coat. Of course, he's got to come with Frankie. I mean, this would just be such a great figure. I mean, he is a Hall of Famer. He's well deserving of a figure. Next up, this could be such a good 3-pack idea. Do the 3 versions of Mark Marrow / Johnny B. Bad. All 3 being completely different characters, really, if you think about it. I feel like if you get one, you're going to want the other 2. So why not just have him in a 3-pack? Like the 3 Faces of Foley pack that we got. I know this wouldn't sell like Foley, and it's probably something we'll never get. I would just personally like to have this in my collection. You can even throw in one of the Frisbees that he used to throw out when he came out to the ring. Next up, somebody that unfortunately recently passed away. This is Kevin Sullivan. But Kevin Sullivan is well deserving of a figure. He has a Jax figure, and he has some others. His Heels and Faces figure looks great, but I want an elite of this guy. I personally think it would look really cool. Next up is Abdullah the Butcher. This would be a great figure, and it would definitely be very neat. I mean, you put him in extreme matches on your pick fed just for fun. What I think would be cool is if he comes with a fork. That would be very cool, honestly. I'd like to have him on my display. Next up, these would be great. And I do know that the new Hastel Toy regimes or something like that, I don't really know how to say it, they are getting 6-inch to 7-inch scale figures of the Godwins. But like I said, that's not elites. I'm talking about elites. And honestly, it's probably would be really easy to make. You kind of already have the mold. There's that Brock Lesnar in the cowboy outfit that had the blue chase, if you know what I'm talking about. That mold would work for this. So while we're at the Godwins, Phineas Godwin, why don't you just do Midian? Why you got him on a deal or whatever, and you're making figures of him, go ahead and make Midian. I think it would be a cool one. Next up, we have so many figures of people from the Bloodline / Anoa'i family, whatever. I actually have my own shelf just for Bloodline members, and Tonga Kid's one of those that had a WWE run, but he's missing on my shelf. He doesn't have a figure. I mean, the Bloodline is hot right now. You got Jacob Fatu, the son of Tonga Kid, there right now. Why don't you get him on a Legends deal? Put the headpiece with him. This would be a cool elite. Next up, the Brooklyn Brawler. This would be so cool. He's getting a big rubber guy right now, and that one looks so good. But now I want a elite of this guy. I mean, the ripped shirt would look cool. He could come with a cigar or whatever. He could come with the hat. It would look very cool. Great on display. Next up, Al Snow. This would just be so cool. I mean, they could do so much with this. You got to throw in the head, which I know they won't do because you're not supposed to put that on the shelves or whatever. Whatever. Make it a Mattel creation so we can get head in figure form. I know it's got a Jax figure, but this would just be so cool. Ahmed Johnson, he's one of those guys that was on a monster run, but never got a Jax figure, I don't believe. And this is another one of those that's just extremely easy, I would think. I mean, his attire is not very much. He's got like a Bobby Lashley type build, so maybe you could use that formula or whatever, and then you just got to make the head sculpt. But yeah, I definitely want an Ahmed in my collection. The Powers of Pain. We already have a Warlord figure in the Powers of Pain gear. But that's why I'm kind of irritated. I believe Barbarian had like issues after he left WWE with the company or whatever. But we're putting all that aside. I want a Barbarian figure in this Powers of Pain type gear. Because it just looks funny of there. I literally have the Warlord Powers of Pain figure on my shelf. But it looks weird not being beside a Barbarian matching figure. So we definitely need that. I mean, I guess you could re-release that Warlord and just put them in a 2-pack or whatever, but whichever works for me. Next up, the Blue World Order BWO. This would be so cool. Perfect Mattel Creations 3-pack right here. And I know everybody wants BWO figures. This would be so cool. The FTC Blue Meanie, even though, like, the pants on it falls apart, and it's really just garbage material that they made it with. The figure itself actually looks very cool. Just imagine that in Elite form / Ultimate Edition. That would look amazing. Oh Lord, I want this one. Next up, this one is actually very, very possible. Bull Nakano. She literally just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it makes sense while she's affiliated with WWE and all that. Why not get her a figure? I mean, we have Wendy Richter. We have this Mae Young figure. Even like I said before, I want another one. But we have some of these figures that she would pair really good with. And this would just be so cool for pick feds. I mean, putting her in a match with Asuka, Io Sky. It would be so good. Sprinkle in the little title. It would look great. You got the face paint would look cool. The hair mold that they decide to use would look cool. Yes, this is cool. Next up is kind of a fun one, but actually another one that might actually be kind of possible. This is Butterbean. And one reason why I say this, I believe there for a little bit he was struggling for money or something. People were talking about it or something. So, I mean, WWE could just help him, do him a little favor, get him a little royalty check. And, I mean, I think it would be a cool figure to have on display. All right, I don't want to hear it on this one. I know he has an elite, but this is another one of those. I don't want to pay $80+ to get a Chavo Guerrero figure. We got the From the Vault series. We got all these re-release series. Why don't you just put him in it or give him a new gear? Put him a whole new figure out. Next up, I know I'm going to be biased on this one, but this is like top 5 for one of my wish figures. This is Crash Holly. I was such a big fan of Crash Holly's. He made the hardcore title so fun. Crash Holly, I mean, he was just great. I mean, you can literally throw in the shopping cart with weapons inside of it. You could do so many different things with a Crash Holly figure. I know if they release this, he's going to be the 24/7 championship on my pig fed. While we're with the Hollies, we got Hardcore Holly. Of course, probably the more popular, and which one would sell more. This would be a cool figure to have into the collection. This one, I actually made this slideshow probably 3 weeks to a month ago. I'm just now getting to recording it. And in the meantime, she posted a video on her Twitter saying that she was signed to a Legends deal. She literally said it in the video. I get figures and all this. So this one's basically confirmed. This is Victoria. This would be so cool. She's probably my favorite women's wrestler from that era personally. I believe she was ahead of her time in the ring. Victoria was great, and I want a figure of her. I mean, we have Trish, we have Lita, we have Mickie James. Why can't we get Victoria? Next up is another fun one. This is Funaki. This would be so cool to have into the collection just for comedy reasons. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would want this one. Here's another one for your Bloodline shelf if you have one like I do. Here is Haku. What a cool one this could be. Here's another one of those women that just haven't gotten a Mattel figure. And I know you could say, well, you could just put her Jax on display. No, that Jax absolutely looks horrible. I hate the Jacqueline Jax figure. I believe that's one of the worst figures, honestly, like ever released. But yeah, her in elite form would be very cool. You could create some of these dream matches that people talk about with her versus Bianca Belair, Charlotte, all these names that I've named before in this video. Jamie Noble. This would be a cool one because I feel like you don't got to get a deal. He's already with them. He's like a backstage worker there. Plus, he loves figures. Go check his little fig fed type thing that he's got on Instagram. So Matt and Brian from the Major Wrestling Figure podcast sent him some of the big rubber guys that they've released. And he was just going crazy because he's a huge LJN fan. Like, he literally creates dream matches. He makes shows with his big rubber guys and LJNs. So this guy would love to have a figure of himself. I know he wants a big rubber guy of himself, which I'd like to have that too. But right here, we're just talking about Mattel figures. Next up, we need this one. Jesse the Body Ventura. Why have we not gotten this yet? You can add them to your commentary table. I think it would be a cool looking figure too. Next up, another fun one, but one that would actually also look cool. This is Jimmy Wang Yang. This would look so funny on the shelf. Next up is a big one for me personally, just because I'm a huge fan of him. This is Lance Storm. He could come with the Canadian flag. I mean, he's just so good. He's one I want to have in my collection. Next up, a super simple one, but Maven. Maven, I would like to have one of him. And like I said, come on, this is very easy to make. Next up, Gangrel. This would be so cool. Imagine they throw in like the little prop, the cup of blood. That would look great. You can have an interchangeable head sculpt with the tongue out. This would look great. Next up, we need a Michael Cole. Yes, I know we already have a Build-A-Figure Michael Cole, but this is another one. I'm not paying $100 for a Michael Cole figure that really, if you look at it, doesn't even really look like him in the first place. So we need a new, updated, with true effects and everything, Michael Cole. The Mountie. This would be so cool. The nice shining red. You could give him all the accessories, the hat, whatever you call it that he's holding, whatever that is. But yeah, this would look so cool. Next up, Mr. Kennedy. This would look great. I really want a Mr. Kennedy in my collection. Put him on your fig feds. Put him up against LA Knight. Let him do... You can figure out a way to have the mic floating in the air on your fig fed, whatever. He's definitely one we need in the line. The Patriot. This would be cool. You get the mask. You get all the American colors, and you can even throw in a holdable flag in there with him. This would definitely make my display. Perry Saturn's one of those that I feel like just deserves a figure. I'd like to have it. PJ Walker. When else are we going to get a plunger in the line? I want a plunger for my figures. This would be just so neat. My bad, guys. I had to double check. This is actually T.L. Hopper. I always get confused because if you look in the original version of the WWE Encyclopedia, under the sections, they got them all mixed up. The picture of T.L. Hopper's in another spot, so it gets all mixed up. So you kind of have to use Google to kind of confirm it. But this is a T.L. Hopper figure that I would like to have. And then you got Repo Man. You could have him come with the rope and everything. Of course, the mask would be, well, not really mask, but eyepiece, whatever you want to call it. I guess it is considered a mask. That would be cool. I guess you could have it just molded onto the head sculpt. But this would definitely be very cool. And then there's Rockin' Robin. This could go with your Wendy Richter figures and some other people we've named. There's a lot of older women wrestlers that we could get in the line, and I believe Rockin' Robin we should get. Ronnie Garvin. This would be cool to have. I mean, it would kind of be a bland figure, to be honest. But, I mean, you give him the towel that goes around his neck, that's extra value. But I still want to get a figure of him. Sable is one of those that got a Jax figure, but that figure that she got with Jax is honestly one of the worst figures you're ever going to see, in my personal opinion. That figure is horrible, so I want to get an Elite of her. Next up, I'm probably going to be pretty biased on this one, but this is Sam Houston. I'm just a big fan of Sam Houston. I love going back watching his matches. I feel like he was very entertaining, very good in the ring, actually. You give him the bandana, the cowboy hat, the nice coat and everything. I feel like this is a very good figure to have. Now, this one would be fun. Simon Dean. But, of course, you got to give, I don't even know what you call it, but the thing that he's riding on, you know what I'm talking about. It's in the picture. That would be such a fun accessory to have. Then you got Mikey Whipwreck. This one I definitely want. You got the red hair and everything. He's got some cool looking shirts. I think it'd be very toyetic. Even the shirt that comes with his FTC figure looks good, so just imagine it in Elite form. And then there's the Doctor of Style, Slick. This would be, I feel like this would just be a cool one to have in the collection. He had some fun moments during his career, and so why not remake these in figure form? Next up, you got Bart Gunn of the Smoking Guns. We already got a Billy Gunn figure announced in this type of gear, so why can't we get the matching Bart? Now we got Stacy Keibler. Yes, I know we already got a Mrs. Hancock version from WCW, but why would you give that version of her that's a lot less popular than just her regular Stacy Keibler version? Which, I mean, I don't mind having that version. I think it's kind of cool to have. One of those characters never really thought we would get, but I just want a Stacy Keibler. And then we need to get Spike Dudley. We got the Dudley Boys. We're getting more Dudley Boys that could go really well with the ECW version that's coming out, the Mattel Creation. That is going to go really good with a Spike Dudley type figure. So I do think they should get him on a Legends line. Maybe they already have him. I don't really know. So we could get a figure of him. Now, this would be goofy, but it would be fun. A Spirit Squad Mattel Creations 5-pack. Imagine, we just got the LWO pack. Just do the same thing. Put it in like a green, cool packaging with Spirit Squad stuff all on it and get all 5 of them. I know it's probably not possible because how are you going to get Nikki/Dolph Ziggler on a WWE deal? But yeah, I think it would be cool. You can get them to holding the pom-poms. I think that's what they're called. You got the little megaphone and all that. Plus, then you can get that megaphone. We need to get a Chase U megaphone. I'm kind of getting a little off topic with the Spirit Squad, but a Chase U megaphone is needed. Hopefully, we'll get a Thea Hale Elite eventually, and she'll come with one. But yeah, I would like to have Spirit Squad figures. Next up, Steve Blackman. I think this would be a very simple one, but also a very cool one. He could come with the little sticks or whatever that you call them that he's holding. And there's the figure. It would be perfect. Dr. Death Steve Williams. This is one I feel like we should get. The gear's pretty cool, and overall, I'd just like to have it in my collection, honestly. Tony Atlas, well deserving of a figure, WWE Hall of Famer. Another one of these just very, very easy figure to do. His attire was barely anything. I definitely would like, this is another one of those that just could just be the Bobby Lashley type mold. Get his head sculpt on there, there you go. Sean O'Hare. I'm a big Sean O'Hare fan. I truly think that he had potential, and so I'd just like to have him on my shelf since I'm a big fan of him. Rest in peace to Sean O'Hare. Val Venus. This would be so cool. He come in with the towel and everything. I mean, there's so much cool stuff they could do with him. Then you got to get Vito in the line. I'd like to see Vito. He's still involved in wrestling, so I believe he'd like to have a figure himself. Waylon Mercy. This would be a pretty cool looking figure. I just met Waylon Mercy like a month ago, barely even a month ago. He's also known as Danny Spivey, a part of the Skyscrapers, former tag team partner of the late Psycho Sid that literally just passed away. But yeah, I'd like to have a Waylon Mercy figure. This has been a long video, but last but certainly not least, Buff Bagwell.